Find out what happens when you combine a breakfast cereal with a first-person shooter. And break out the link cable, because we're going to learn about a game that offered a 4-player deathmatch experience on the original Game Boy. Which of these games will receive the officially weird seal of approval? Find out as we take a look at Chex Quest and Faceball 2000 on Retro Video Games for Weirdos. Hello to all you wonderful weirdos out there, and welcome to Retro Video Games for Weirdos. We're going to start our exploration of weird FPS games with a look at Chex Quest. Chex Quest is a first-person shooter that came out in 1996 for the PC. You play a character that looks like this. Yes, that's right, he's a big anthropomorphic piece of Chex.
Chex are fun, Chex are hot. Looking for a taste of what the cereal's got? Chex marks the spot. The one-of-a-kind part of this complete breakfast.
Another unusual thing about this game is that it was available as a free prize in boxes of Chex cereal. Free prizes in boxes of cereal were fairly common promotional items back then. But this was the first time the free prize was a computer game. This was also a time when the popularity of first-person shooters was really exploding. Because this game was both non-violent and free, a lot of kids in 1996 experienced this as their first-person shooter game. This game is based on the Doom engine. But this game involves a lot of slime instead of blood. The portrait of your character gets covered in more and more slime as he takes damage. I'm really amused that one of the melee weapons for this game is a spoon. Not enough games give you the option to attack enemies with a spoon. Most of the time in this game, you'll be using this weapon that looks like a TV remote to Zorch the enemies back to their home dimension. You know they're in there. You hear the distant cries of your cereal friends, held captive by the evil, slime-toting creatures, the Phlegmoids. You have a chance to save your fellow citizens and zap these gooey creatures back to their own dimension before they imprison you in goo. Do you accept the challenge? Now, let's move on to Faceball 2000. Faceball 2000 is a strange, early first-person shooter where you shoot floating smiley faces in a 3D maze. If one of these smiley faces kills you, they will tell you to have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
However, the history behind this game is a lot more interesting. Faceball 2000's origins can be traced all the way back to an Atari ST game from 1987 called Mini Maze. Much like Faceball 2000, Mini Maze featured a 3D maze that players could navigate and then shoot floating smiley faces. It was called Mini Maze because of the unique approach to add multiplayer to the game. Like most computers of the 1980s, the Atari ST lacked a network port. However, it did have a MIDI port that could be connected to a synthesizer for music creation. The designers of Mini Maze decided to repurpose the MIDI port to connect multiple computers together so that the game could be played on multiple machines at once. Mini Maze supported up to 16 computers connected together this way. In 1991, Mini Maze got a remake on the Game Boy as Faceball 2000. They even retained the multiplayer deathmatch aspect of the game with the use of the Game Boy link cable. This version only supported 4-player deathmatch, but given the Game Boy's limited hardware, that's really impressive. Actually, being able to pull off an FPS at all on the original Game Boy is an impressive feat. Faceball 2000 got ported to a few other systems in addition to the Game Boy. In 1992, it got a port on the Super Nintendo, which supported split-screen multiplayer. I have a lot of fondness for both of these games. but only one of the games will be getting the officially weird seal of approval. Faceball 2000 is a technical achievement that managed to push video game hardware beyond everyone's expectations. For that reason, it deserves a special place in the history of first-person shooters. But Chex Quest is the game that gets the officially weird seal of approval. There are examples of companies using video games to promote products going all the way back to the days of the Atari 2600. Most of the time, those games were just a mascot from their advertising plopped into a game with generic gameplay. That is not what we have here with Chex Quest. This game is much more unique. There is a modern remake of this game that came out in 2020, Chex Quest HD. The main character, Fred Chexter, seems a lot more talkative in this version.
I didn't think it was possible, but I feel stronger.
If you have never played any of the Chex Quest games, you should give Chex Quest HD a try. It's available as a free download on Steam.